Impacting lives, building leaders all around the world. Let us keep our dreams alive. Cause tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
Hey, hello. And welcome to a very special webinar put on by the Kectil Program. It's great to see all of you today. I'm so glad that we have, over 60 people and maybe more joining us. We want to talk today about something that's really intensely personal. We're just finishing up on our assignment on authentic leadership. And so I decided that today I wanted to take you through my own personal journey for leadership. And actually, I started the Kectil Program 8 years ago. I've never given this webinar to anyone at Kectil before. So that's pretty important. And so you all are here to hear about my personal journey. When we talk about authentic leadership, you really think about two different kinds of leadership. You think about inward-facing leadership, and that's a very personal, private thing. That's what goes on in your soul, in your heart, in your mind, and what your thoughts are, your transformational ideas, your experiences, which create who you are. That's internal-facing leadership. Then there's a different kind of leadership, which is external-facing leadership, and that's how you relate to your community, to the people surrounding you, to your family, to your country, to even to the world. That's the external leadership. And in many ways, the internal leadership, what happens in your own mind, in your own experiences, in your own thoughts, that's what frames how you act as an external leader. You have to process all these things that are going on internally so that you can get to what you're going to be as an external leader to change the world. Now, so I'm going to spend the next 30, 40 minutes telling you very personal stories about my own life, which I've never done before. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about external facing leadership. And we're going to have a wonderful speaker who is David Petrosyan from Armenia. And he's going to talk to us about outward facing leadership and what he's done to change the world around him. But I'm going to talk about something much more personal than that, things that made me who I am. And the reason why I talk about that is to hope that then you can take this introspective journey for yourself and think about, why are you who you are? Why are you who you are? What are the transformational ideas that you've had in your life that have framed who you are now and who you will be in the future? What are the experiences that have been transformational, maybe world shaking for you, which affect and create who you are? Okay. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And this really involves a lot of private, secret thoughts. These are personal experiences. I'm not going to talk today about my successes. I'm not going to talk about awards. I'm not going to talk about, how I did in school. I'm not going to talk about, great things I've done. You can read my bio. You can get all that. That all speaks for itself. Okay. I'm not going to talk about the good times. I'm going to talk about the bad times. And the reason why I'm going to talk about the bad times is because it's much harder to talk about bad times than good times, right? So that's what I'm going to do today. But I'm just going to walk you through my life, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that actually were dispositive for me to make me who I am. Okay. So first thing, why am I who I am? And I hope all of you think about that for yourself. Why are you who you are? What got you to a place that you actually want to join the Kectil Program and be an authentic leader in your community and in the world? And that doesn't start externally. That starts by something that happens very deep in your brain, something that happens in your spirit. So when I'm talking about these ideas, I'm not talking about religion. I may be talking about spirituality. I'm going to be talking about the world as it is. I'll be talking about, the cosmos and life. But at Kectil, we love all religions. And if you have no religion, that's fine too. So this is not a religious discussion, but it may well be a spiritual discussion. Okay. So the first thing that happened that I think really affected my life was actually when I was about 5 or 6 years old. All of a sudden, I was laying in bed. I was looking around. I was looking at the sky. I was looking around, and I came up with these 2 transformational thoughts, which I really think shaped the rest of my life. And I was only 5 or 7 years old. You know how young you are when you're 5 or 7 years old? You don't know anything. But all of a sudden, it occurred to me that I'm going to die. And it occurred to me that I am temporary. And so I thought to myself, and that terrified me. It absolutely terrified me that I looked around and I said, one day I'm not going to exist anymore, at least on this planet as we see it, as we live today. Some people may think about reincarnation. Some people may think about heaven and hell. Some people may think about other things you may do after life. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm talking about life as we know it on this planet. It's going to end. And I had this very deep, very scary transformational feeling about that at a very, very young age, 5 to 7. And I would sit in my bed, or sometimes I like to lay on the grass and I'd look up at the sky and I'd say, oh my gosh, doesn't everybody in the world know that they're about to die? Don't they know that they're temporary? Don't you know that you're temporary? And it was terrifying. For a young child, it was terrifying. And I would look around and I would see people just walking around, wasting time, having fun, talking about mindless things, talking about stupid things. And I thought, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Don't you know that you're temporary? Don't you know that you're only here for like a short amount of time? And we now know, so that was the first thing. I'm going to get more into that. But I had this terrifying knowledge, appreciation for the fact that I'm going to die. And you'll see that some of that came into this first assignment that you've been doing on authentic leadership, where we talk about aspects of what it means to understand death. And for some reason, I had that at an incredibly early age. And there was a discussion. Let me see if I've got it in front of me and if I can read it here. Okay, here, and this is a quote from Steve Jobs. And I'm not Steve Jobs, obviously, but Steve Jobs, who created Apple, also had this very intense idea of the fact that he was going to die early on. And he said that's what motivated his whole life. He said, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to make the big choices in my life, because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, they just fall away when we know we're going to die. Leaving only what's truly important. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know of to avoid the trap of thinking that you have something to lose. Now that's really, really deep. And for a 5 or 7-year-old to all of a sudden be terrified to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. That was a transformational thought. And that then rippled through my whole life. And what that meant was that there was not one single day to lose. There was every single day is irreplaceable. Today, you're sitting here today listening to this podcast, but this day, today, what is it? The 23rd of March, 2025. It's never going to happen again. This day is irreplaceable. You will never have this day again. Okay. Tomorrow, which is March 24th, 2025, you're never going to have that day again. It's going to come and it's going to go. And you can't look back and say, I wish I had done this, or I wanted to do this, or I sat around and did nothing, or I complained, or I thought about petty things or anything. You can't think about that because this day literally is irreplaceable for you. You think about, I used to think about, the fact that, and later on in life, okay, if you read these things from physics, you realize that our universe is about 13.7 billion years old, billions in the B's. We've got about 5 billion years left for our universe to keep going forward before it starts contracting. Okay. So if you think about that, about 18 billion years for our universe to blow up and contract again. Out of all of that, if we're lucky, we may have 100 years on this planet. Maybe, if you're lucky, if you live through all of it. And every single day is irreplaceable. So what are you going to do with that? Well, I was thinking to myself, and I lived with that as like this burning thought inside my mind, starting from when I was about 5 years old, which is a really, really young age, to come to this awareness that every day matters, every minute matters, and that we have finite time, and that you're temporary. You are temporary. The world may be somewhat permanent, but you're temporary. That was my first really big thought. Okay. My second really big thought was that space is infinite. The space never ends. And I would lay on the grass and I'd look out at the sky and I'd say, oh my gosh, this sky goes on forever. And if you think at the end of the sky, let's just say you think it ends, there's a brick wall there and that's the end of the sky. Well, that can't be the end of the sky because there's got to be something behind the brick wall, right? There's got to be something behind it. And if you put another brick wall and you say that's the end of the world, that's the end of space and time and everything else, there's got to be something behind it. So that means that space is infinite. Space never ends. And that idea also just boggled my mind, and then when I got older and I was reading, I love to read physics and I love to read things about cosmology and going from as small as quantum mechanics all the way up to astrophysics. And I skipped the math because I don't want to do the math, but I like the ideas. And so I read these things and you read about what Einstein said, that curved space-time is a mathematical model. Curved paths are determined by the geometry of space-time. Law and physics are the same, and so here's Einstein telling you that the world curves in on itself and it's this like a donut shape that curves in on itself. But that didn't matter to me. I was sitting there thinking, okay, I don't care if the world curves in on itself and there's gravity that causes that. Beyond that, there's still got to be something else. There's still got to be something else. And what's there? What is there? And so it's interesting. AI has developed to such a point now that I went on AI and I asked, is space infinite? To AI. Here I am, how many years later, out of being 5 to 7 years old, now I can ask the question to AI, is space infinite? And guess what the answer is? Whether space is infinite is a question scientists still don't know the answer to. I don't think they ever will know the answer to it. And I think the answer is that it never ends. I just don't see how it could ever end. And if we're in a situation where we have this gift of life, and regardless of what your religion is, or any religion, no religion, whatever it is, spirituality, anything, we know for this existence on this world, we have a short amount of time, and we are measured by this world, and we're measured by an infinite amount of space. Those are two pretty huge thoughts. Those are huge thoughts. And if you think of those thoughts, then you realize you have no time to lose. You have no time to lose. You have no time to do just wasting time doing things. And then I used to look around and I'd see people walking around doing nothing, laughing, just just wasting time, bickering, doing other kinds of things. Somebody did something to somebody or something like that. And I said, none of that matters. Don't you understand your reality? Don't you understand where you are, where you fit into the world, what you are? Okay. What you are. And you have been given a gift of life. You've been given a gift of life. And then in that situation later on, and I say some of this in the first Kectil book, and I know a lot, most of you haven't read this Kectil book, but we had a Kectil book that was published in 2019, I think. Okay. And here on my journey, my internal, very personal leadership goal and our journey just kept asking questions about these two big ideas. What is life and what is space and how do I fit into it? And what do I do about that? What do I do about that? And so then I thought about, oh my gosh, think about the miracle of life. We don't know what life is. We don't know what consciousness is. Don't fool yourself that you know what consciousness is, because you don't. We have this strong feeling of ourselves, and you could think of it as religion or spirituality or something, like whatever you want to think about. But we don't. We're not really sure why we feel what we do. And so then it also occurred to me that each person who's walking on this world has won the lottery of life. And I went back and I did some of the mathematical calculations. So all of you, let's just say you're 25 years old. Okay. The Kectil program is 17 to 26. So I'm going to take a 25-year-old person. Let's say you were born in about 2020. Okay. So I actually went back and did some of the math on that. Okay. In 2020, there were about 6.5 billion people on the earth. Okay. Of those 6.5 billion, let's say about half of them are past puberty and able to have children. Okay. Now that makes about 1.6 billion males, and each male has about 1 trillion sperm. And it's about 1.6 billion females, if you think it's 50-50. And each female has 1 to 2 million eggs. Okay. If you do that math, and again, thank goodness for AI. I just stuck these equations in AI and it gave me the answer like this. I didn't have to do any math. Okay. If you put that into the calculation, you find out that there's about 7 times 10 to the 37 combinations of sperm and egg in 2020 that could create a human being. 7 times 10 to the 37. That's 1 followed by 37 zeros. Okay. So the odds that that 1 sperm and that 1 egg would have come together to create you is about 1 in 10 to the 37th. Okay. Which is 1 followed by 37 zeros. Okay. Think about that for a minute. That means that you are a miracle of life. That means you won the lottery of life. That 1 egg and that 1 sperm came together to make you. And you know what the odds against that was? The odds against that are almost infinity. So you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here to experience this maybe 100 years of life that you've been given out of 18 billion years of our universe and maybe infinity out of space. But you made it. You made it. So you made it and you are experiencing life for about 100 years. That's amazing. And every one of you I'm talking about my own personal journey. When I realized what the infinitesimal odds were against me ever being born at all, I thought, oh my gosh, every day when I wake up in the morning, I have 2 thoughts. Okay. One is a celebration of life. I won the lottery of life. I won the 7 times 10 to the 23rd combinations of egg and sperm that were on the planet. And I became a human being for this small amount of time. That's amazing. Okay. And then that's my first the thing. I wake up, I celebrate life. And then the second thing is I remind myself that I am going to die. And there's a Latin saying that's a famous saying, and it says memento mori. Memento mori. It's a Latin word, and it means remember that you will die. Okay. And when you wake up in the morning and you realize, number one, you shouldn't be here to begin with because the odds are so against you being born. And then on top of it, you've thought about if you're lucky 100 years and then you're going to die, what are you going to do with that? What in the world are you going to do with that? Regardless of, as I said, we honor all religions. Some religions think that you're going to be reincarnated. Some will think you'll go to heaven. Some people have no religion and think it's over at this life. It's regardless of all of that. It's just I'm talking about this time period in this world. And every single day is irreplaceable. Okay. So what are you doing on this irreplaceable day of March 23rd, 2025, which you will never get it again for eternity. You will never get that again. Okay. You will never get it again. You will never get tomorrow again, which is March 24th, 2025. It's not coming back. Okay. Now, examples that I have, like just even 2 weeks ago, I had a former Kectil colleague want to get on the phone with me and said something really, really important they needed to talk to me about. Everything had to talk to me about something super, super important. So I said, okay, I better take this call. So I talked to the person on the phone, and the person said, my aunt is mad at me, and my two cousins one cousin is on my aunt's side and the other cousin is on my side. And my aunt wants me to move out of the house. But my uncle said it might be okay if I stay here for a while. And I don't know, what should I do? I need help or something like that. And I just went, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? How in the world do you have time for pettiness? Like somebody's mad at you or somebody's mad or somebody spreads a rumor or that's all in the level of pettiness. That's pettiness. And that is a waste of time when all you have is irreplaceable days in a very short life in an infinite world. That you have no time for that. You have no time for that. What do you have time for? You need time for humility, for the fact that it's a tremendous gift that you've been given the right to be born. It's kindness and compassion. And the reason why you have kindness, compassion, and by the way, why you need to celebrate every other person on this planet is because you share something with every person on this planet. And that is that each one of you won the lottery of life out of infinitesimal odds. So you all are winners. So regardless of what color, what nation, what community, what tribe, whether you're male or female, what your religion you are, or what you are, you share a bond that you made it. You became alive. You became alive. And so there is no basis to ever look at anybody else and say, you're red or green or purple or blue, or you're this or that, or you come from this country, you come from this country. You should hug that person and say, we made it. We were born. We're alive. We're on this world. We won the lottery of life. And what are we together going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? And there's also, it also feeds into depression and anxiety. There's so many people in the world who get so caught up in their little daily lives and their little anxiety about somebody's mad at me, somebody said this to me, somebody's doing this to me, I was harmed, I was this, I was that. You don't have time for that. Today is a non-renewable asset for you. Today is every single day when you wake up, it's a non-renewable asset. You don't have time for pettiness. You don't have time for that stuff. You don't have time to be depressed because somebody else is doing better than you or has more money than you or less than you or bigger house than you or nicer clothes or anything like that. You don't have time for that. You don't have time because you have to make the most out of this gift that was given to you personally, that was given to me personally. So those are the two big ideas that I had from a very early age. And once you have those, you realize that when you wake up in the morning, you need to go nonstop. You need to get your work. You need to wake up every morning and say, this is a beautiful day. That's a gift. And what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with this day? Right? Now those two ideas, that I'm going to die, that I'm temporary, that space is infinite, and how in the world do I fit into it? Starting to think about those issues when you're 5 to 7 years old. And those have followed me my whole life. And that's part of why we have the Kectil Program. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So, as I said, I'm not going to talk about successes I've had during life, but what I will say is I've worked really, really hard. People don't even imagine how much I do every day. I'm at this point, I'm a lawyer. I work full time, very hard as a lawyer. I run the Kectil Program. I do other things. I have, social responsibilities, etc. I am going on and on and on. And I don't take any days off. And people ask why. And I say, because why would I? Why would I? I'm not going to waste 1 second of my time on even being depressed, being anxious, worrying about petty things, worrying about what other people think of me, worried about any of that, because I have a goal, and it's to do as much as I possibly can with this gift of life. Okay. Now, I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that have happened to me, personal things that have happened to me in my life, which are, which you think about, which were kind of experiences that were negative experiences. Everybody has negative experiences. So I want to go through a couple of these so you realize that you're not alone. Because I also hear from using the Kectil Program, oh my gosh, I lost my job, or oh my gosh, something else happened, or oh my goodness, I failed an assignment, or somebody died, or something like that. All those things are life. They're all going to happen. And you have to keep plodding through it if you're going to get as much out of this gift that you've been given, right? So one, losing a big assignment at work. Okay, I'm a lawyer. I was working on a great big case, and they were deciding which firm to give the next part to. And we were trying really hard to get this part of this work at the law firm. And at the end, a decision was made that this aspect of this project was going to go to a different law firm. Okay. And I was devastated. I was so devastated because I'd worked on this project really hard, and it felt like a personal failure to me that we didn't get it and it went to another law firm. I had to leave work at like noontime. I came home. I cried. I was upset. And of course I was mad at people. I was upset. And then all of a sudden, I thought about it, and it's very hard to put something into the perspective that I'm trying to give to you when something really hits you in the face, when the world hits you in the face. Okay. And something bad happens and you fail. Okay. So you may think, well, I'm some white person from the United States and I've never had a bad time, or I've never had this, or I've never had that. That's not true. And I'm getting ready to tell you 4 examples. So one, losing a big assignment at work. So I was so upset with this and it was something I worked on for several years, and it went to another firm. And so I happened to go out to dinner with a friend, and I was a mess. And I was telling the friend about this and that and whatever, and I was probably forgetting about all the other, lessons I've learned about space and time and death and things like that. And I was just mad. Have you ever been just mad? You're just mad because you think the world did something bad to you. The world didn't treat you right. You didn't get what you were supposed to get. Somebody was mean to you, and you just get punched in the stomach. Okay. Well, so this person gave me the best advice and said, no one will ever judge you by what's done to you, by what happens to you. You're going to be judged by how you respond to it. I want to say that again. You're never going to be judged by something that happens to you. You're going to be judged by how you respond. Okay. That was another piece of advice that I held on to for the rest of my life, because there are so many times in life when life gives you a bad turn, when life gives you a sucker punch, when somebody's mean to you, when somebody takes away opportunity, when something, all your friends are against you, or your family is against you, or something like that. How are you going to respond to that? Are you going to get mad? Are you going to get angry? Are you going to cry? I mean, those are all normal things. And you may spend a few minutes feeling sorry for yourself. Okay, that's normal. Okay, that's normal. But then what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Given this whole expanse of time and life and where you need to go as your goal. So you're going to be judged by how you respond. Okay, how you respond when somebody hits you and pushes you down. Now, if you stand up and you accept what happened and said, okay, I accept that. How can I help? What can I do? Okay. What can I do to make it better? Okay. How can I help you do what that decision was? Or if somebody else, let's say your family, does something really bad to you and you say, I'm so sorry that happened. How can I help you get what you need? What a transformational response. I accept what you did to me, and how can I help you get what you need? Oh my gosh, that's amazing, right? Yeah. What can I do? Right? What can I do about that? That is the best response. And I hope all of you will absorb that. Remember that when you get the worst thing that you can imagine in your life, you accept it with peace. Okay. You accept it with harmony in your life. And then you say, okay, I now accept this. How can I help you? And you know what's going to happen? People are going to be shocked because they don't expect you to have that response. What they expect you to do is be angry and lash out and be mean and try to maybe undermine the person who's doing it, or maybe you're going to talk behind their back, or maybe you're going to do something, get your friends to be mad at their friends, or you're going to be mad at your boss or quit your job. No, that's not the response. You need to pull yourself up to your actual reality of life, which is short-term, temporary in a huge world, and say, I accept what you're doing. How can I help you? That's a beautiful response. And you can practice that. You don't always get it the first time, but practice it. And I promise you, your life will be transformed by that. Losing a job. How many of us have ever lost a job that we really liked and we didn't want to lose the job and we thought we were perfect for the job? Okay. So I have a personal experience on that too. I had a job early on as a lawyer, and I thought I did a great job, and I did do a great job, and the clients loved me. And this is early on in my career. And the law firm said, no, we don't want you at that law firm. Okay, we don't want you at that law firm. I was devastated. Because I thought that it was a failure. I thought that was a failure. I thought that meant not just that the job was a failure. I thought I was a failure. And I'm sure that a lot of you have had that same feeling. You've either lost a job, or you've failed at a class, or you've thought you were going to do something and it didn't work out. And you say, oh my gosh, I must be a failure. Well, I've had that too. And that's part of my journey, my personal, authentic leadership journey. That was another really, really tough one, because you have to pull yourself back in, and you have to, after you've just taken this knock of your life, you have to pull yourself up again and realize, I have to believe in myself. And that fire and spirit and self-confidence that you have to build in yourself, that's what gets you through stuff like that. You have to say, I'm good at what I do. I'm a winner. I'm good at what I do. I care. And I know I'm a success, and I know I can do a good job. And it's that little kernel inside of you that says, I'm okay, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to go well, and I'm going to, in quote, fail up. I'm going to fail up to success that makes you be a success. And why do you do that? Because you know you don't have much time, because every day is an irreplaceable asset. Your life is temporary. You don't have time to be mad when you lose a job. You don't have time to be mad. You don't have time for any things that the world does to you. You have to shake yourself up, shake yourself off, calm down, and get to the next place. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can do it. And I know that a lot of people on this call have been fired. A lot of people on this call have had problems. A lot of people maybe have been pushed out of their house by their families, or maybe they've had a relationship that went bad, or maybe they got a divorce, or maybe they, had other problems in their lives. Regardless of what that problem is, always remember that you're temporary. Always remember that you're going to die. Always remember that you're only here for 100 years. That is your saving grace. That's your saving grace. Because the minute you realize that, you're motivated as fast as you can to just get rid of all that negativity, get rid of all the anger, and go out and become a success. And then part of that, of course, is being kind to everyone, even if you don't like them. Be gracious to everyone. Why? Because you never know when people in the world are going to come back, and they may help you or they may be mad at you. Okay. You never know when you need somebody else. So practice being nice to everyone, because one person in that room may be the person who's asked for a recommendation about you and you don't even know it. And maybe you want to get a job and somebody calls somebody who knew you from some way back and said, what do you think about this person? And if you've been nice to them, they'll say, oh, that's a really nice person, or yeah, you should hire that person. Or if it's anything else in life, when you've been nice to people, they remember that. And, I've been in business for a long time. I've been a lawyer for 30 or 40 years now. The people who come back to me long after I've worked with them are the people who say that I've done something to help their careers. Okay. And I've helped them. I've either helped them with advice. I've helped them get a job that they need. I've helped them through a tough time. I've been there. I've listened. I've helped. And that's all part of accepting and ask how you can help. So as you go through life, remember that for all your friends, your colleagues, and everyone else, be gracious, be helpful, be happy, and ask them how you can help them do whatever they're doing. It will come back to you in spades and spades and spades. You will always be blessed by helping other people. And even the people who hate you. Let's say you have an enemy. The most fun thing of all is if you know that somebody dislikes you for petty, stupid reasons, and you just go up and say, hi, how are you doing? Are you doing well? And be their friend. They don't know how to respond, because they've been mean to you. They've been mean to you, right? And if they've been mean to you, they're expecting you to be mean back to them. But what if you're not? What if you put a smile on your face and you're so not only nice and gracious, but you ask them how you can help them, or you actually just do help them? They go, what? And if you do that a couple times, they'll realize they don't know how to be mean to you anymore, because you've been nice in the face of meanness. And that's what understanding what your role in life is, understanding that you're temporary, understanding that you don't have time for pettiness, understanding that you have a goal and none of that stuff can keep you from what you need on your goal. Okay, so then another thing that happened in my life, and I'm not even sure whether I've talked to people at Kectil about this or not, but I'm a breast cancer survivor. I don't know if people know that or not. And I'd say, I mean, it was a while ago now. It was, almost 20 years ago. And I looked in the mirror and I saw like a pucker in my skin. I saw that and I felt around and I felt that there was a lump there. And I thought, well, that's weird. And I waited about 2 weeks to see if it would go away, and never went away. It was a lump. And so I know the rules. When you feel a lump, you got to go get it checked. So I went to get the scans, the screens. I got it checked. And within I'd say 2 days, I was told that I have breast cancer. And it wasn't the little tiny breast cancer. It was the real deal. And I was going to have to go into surgery and chemo and radiation. And maybe my little 100 years wasn't going to be 100 years. Maybe it was going to be a lot less than that. And maybe I wasn't going to make it, So life also gives you health problems, not just social problems, not just work problems. It gives you health problems. And at that time, I had 2 children. I was divorced. I had sole custody of 2 kids. I was raising them. They depended on me. And here I've got this news that I've got cancer. And my gosh, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to tell my children who depend on me, or am I going to try and keep it a secret as long as I can and get through it just so it doesn't shake their lives? Because I knew that they depended on me. And if I told them, that would shake their world too. So should I just hide it and do as much as I could? And I went to, when I was going to the oncologist, of course, I was upset, and I was just saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to tell my children. I don't know whether to tell my family. I don't know how to deal with this. And here I am. I've been a success through my whole life. I have all the credentials, all the awards, all the this, all the that. It doesn't help you when you have a health problem. Okay. And so how do you deal with a health problem? And I know that Ahmed is on here. Ahmed, I sent you a picture. Can you just share the screen on that picture?
Oh, it's in my
I was wondering.
I have to take it. Yeah, Evan, hi everyone. Sorry, Sherry. Evan, Sherry, she was sick and she was just under the injection, like blood, and just she said that, okay, she'll get pregnant. And that's all because of the commitment that our Kectil founder and executive director, she has. And that's because of her love to the colleagues that we have here. So, Evan, when we are sick, Evan, till that time that we can breathe, so always we are there for colleagues. We are there to support them. We are there to join any Zoom calls that we have, any webinars. So, yes. So I will share in a way.
Yeah. And I thought to myself when I was going to give this talk today, this webinar, that I didn't think I'd ever shared with the Kectil colleagues that I was a breast cancer survivor. I don't think I'd told anybody. And so I thought, what a wonderful time when we're talking about authentic leadership to talk about my journey through cancer. So I ended up having to take IV infusions of something called adriamycin and cyclophosphamide. I don't know if any of you know what that is. Adriamycin is called the red devil. It's bright red. It looks like bright red, juice. And you go to the hospital and the nurse sits there and the nurse has an infusion pump and just pushes it into your vein. And it's the most toxic drug in the entire world that you can put into your system. It's called the red devil. And it kills every single cell in your body that's reproducing. So it hurts the cancer cells, but it hurts every single good cell in your body that's reproducing. And so I had to go, first of all, I did tell my children. That was great advice. The doctor told me, go back, tell the children as soon as you can, because you know why? Because you're modeling for your children, for your family, for your friends, what to do in a very difficult situation. And if you're just honest and tell people, okay, there you go. Look at that. It's called the red devil, and it goes right into your vein. Okay. Now that was part of my life. I would go into the hospital on Mondays and I would get the red devil put into my veins. I wanted to show you what it looked like so you would know. And the nurse would sit there with that push pump and very slowly inject the most toxic compound that you can get in the world into your body. Okay, we can stop looking, but that's what it looks like. And that's what I wanted to show you. It's called the red devil. Okay. And so I would spend Monday at the hospital, and first I'd get a pre-injection, and then I would get that red devil, that kills everything. And then after that, when that was finished, then I got a second chemotherapy drug after that, because they did a combination approach. So I was at the hospital all day Monday, getting the most toxic drugs that are on the market and kicking my bottom. Okay. And so guess what I did on Tuesday? Tuesday morning, I woke up at 7:00. I got dressed in my business legal clothes, and I was sitting in my office by 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning. And I practiced law all day, and I practiced law all week. And many of the clients that I had didn't even know I was sick because I didn't tell them. I didn't even tell them. So I was in the hospital on Monday getting massive injections, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be sitting at my desk Tuesday morning. Okay. Tuesday morning. And I'd work all week. And then these drugs, they hit you. I mean, obviously they're really, I can attest to you the fact that they are strong drugs. Okay. And they knock you for a loop. And so what would happen is they would kill anything that's dividing. And by about Friday, that's when I would really lose my energy. About midday on Friday, I said I was putting my moon boots on because walking felt like this, like I was just walking on the moon. And I would sit there and I had no energy, but thank goodness it happened on a Friday afternoon, and it would happen through the weekend that I was just bottomed out, and I could barely get out of bed. But then the next Monday, I was at work and I kept going. And the reason why I kept going is why? Because I'm temporary to begin with. And that day is irreplaceable. And that day is not for sitting in the bed feeling sorry for myself that I have cancer. That day is for waking up, looking at the sun, looking at the leaves, being thankful, getting work done, interacting with colleagues. Because I was just bound and determined. I was not going to lose one single day to this. And I ended up having 20 chemo infusions, okay, 40 radiation treatments, and 3 surgeries. And I'm fine. And I made it. Yeah, I made it through. But the thing was that I didn't stop. I didn't let it stop me. And by not letting it stop me, it was the best thing I ever did, because I wasn't going to let that cancer get me. I was not bowing to that cancer. I was going to take it. I was going to do it. I was going to get over it. But boy, I knew what my gift was. My gift was that I had that number of years as a temporary gift of life on this planet. And I wasn't giving up anything. I was not giving up anything. And I kept going and going. And there are people, I run into people today, and I tell them the story and they say, oh my gosh, I never knew you had cancer. But thank goodness I beat that thing. I beat that thing to death. Okay. I beat it. And I beat it with the help of wonderful scientists. And I don't need to be on focus, but, yeah. And she needs some red devil. I see that. The red devil. But what you really need is strength. And now there are health problems that you're not going to survive, but that just means that's the end of your temporary time on earth. Okay. That's the time. And I'm in the spotlight, but I don't need to be in the spotlight. But, that means that's the end of your time on earth. But even while you're doing it, you can give a message. You can be a role model. You can be positive. You can take every single day you have. Remember, if you wake up in the morning, you've been given that gift of life, and you have to decide what you're going to do with it. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And then we come to the Kectil Program. Okay. So, having done all those things and had ups and downs, and realizing that I'm temporary, and realizing that space is so big, my mother died in July 2015, and my father had already passed. It's a very weird feeling not to have a mother or a father who's alive anymore. Now, some of you may have that experience. For some of you, you may have both parents already gone. But it's a strange feeling when both of your parents have passed. And so when my mother passed, it finally dawned on me. And I thought, this is the time that I need to do something. And I need to do something for others and give a present back for this gift of life that I still have, and this gift of getting over cancer, this gift of getting through, hardships, this gift of having successes, accomplishments, for everything negative and positive in my life, but mostly just for the gift of being alive. I need to do something. And that's the Kectil Program. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. So what I wanted to do was say, let's bring together so many wonderful, amazing, transformative, talented youth from developing countries, and let's create a program for them so they can change the world. And they can listen to they can do some of the things that we've been talking about, and they can get the internal passion, the fire, the mission that we've been talking about, and you could spread it all over the world, and that's what you are. That's what you are. And that's why you're here today. So when we look at the Kectil 10 points of leadership, you may think those words are trite, okay, you come up with 10 words, they describe leadership. That's great. Whatever. It's not. Every single word on that Kectil 10 points of leadership matters. And it's real, it's alive, and it's very, very important. So we talk about mission. So why do you have a mission? You have a mission because you're temporary, and you have to get something done with this extraordinary gift of life, this 1 in 10 to the 37. Have you ever thought about the fact that you shouldn't even be here, that one egg and one sperm got together to create you, and you are a gift to the world? That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. You are so special. You are so special. What are you going to do with that? That's what your mission should be. And that's what your passion should be. And you need to have that passion inside you to realize, if I'm only here for a certain amount of time, just like when I had cancer, that cancer was not letting me down. I was at work on Tuesday morning, 8:30 in the morning, all dressed, ready to go, talking to clients. Wasn't going to let that thing let me down. I had to have a vision of where I'm going. Ethics to get there. No journey means anything unless you do it with ethics, with wisdom, with compassion. Compassion is one of the 10 points of leadership. It's a really big one. Compassion, what does that mean? It doesn't mean to be compassionate to your friends or to the people who are nice to you. It means be compassionate to the people who hate you. Be compassionate to the people who have done bad things to you. Okay. Be compassionate to the people who you think are trying to make you fail. That's where compassion matters. That's where you get to accepting things, and where you accept things and then say, how can I help? And I hope you remember that. Good government. Good government is important. because we share this planet with other people who won the lottery of life. We don't have time to sit here and bicker about stupid things in the legislature or with politics or certainly with corruption. There's not time to be greedy when you know you're a grain of sand on the beach. That's not the time to be greedy. Okay. We need to stamp out corruption. Corruption is like an evil. It's a bacteria. It's a virus that spreads through certain countries and it will kill you. It's terrible. And it doesn't help you in terms of doing the most with this wonderful gift you've been given. So anyway, that's my story. That's what I want to say. That's my personal journey of authentic leadership. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Sherry. So thanks everyone for taking time and joining us. I think, Alexandra, do we have the next speaker? Alexandra, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. As far as I know, from Goharik, that Sherry is the main speaker today. That was wonderful to hear her story. It was really inspiring.
Thank you. There is no second speaker. The second speaker is going to be on April 13th. And that is speaker for external leadership. My discussion was about internal leadership. It's in your internal story. And so I hope all of you today will think about what I said and think about what are the big ideas, the big transformational ideas that make you who you are. Please think about the fact that you shouldn't have ever been born. The odds were against you being born. And for some reason, that one egg and that one sperm got together to create you. You're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. You don't have time for pettiness. You don't have time for anything. You won. You're a winner already. You won the gift of life for a short period of time. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? I can't wait to see. So maybe we'll end it at that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ma'am Sherry, and we are really proud of you for all the efforts that you gave and you give for the colleagues and for the youth from around the world. And everyone, my apologies, yes, just about the date. I was misunderstood that maybe I have also another one. So thank you. It was really lots of motivations. I believe that it was for everyone, inspirations. So I hope that all the youths and colleagues from around the world, they give their best and they assume that today that we are alive is a gift for us and we have to utilize it in the best way that we can to support others. So thank you, Sherry. And Alexandra, to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. It was first time webinar from the Ma'am Sherry. It was really awesome for us to hear her story, to hear her words. I believe that everyone inspired today to do really big differences in their countries, in their communities. And thank you very much for being with us today, our young leaders from around the world. We are doing big differences together. We are change makers. And the story from the Ma'am Sherry, her motivation, her inspiration words, showing that we can do everything that we want to achieve in our lives. And all challenges that we are facing, making us even stronger. So thank you very much, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you very much, Sherry, for sharing your story, for everything that you said. For me, it was first time even hearing that you said also that you had such big challenges in your life. And I guess everyone realized that all challenges that we are facing today, it's just small ones if we compare with the challenges that our founder faced during our journey. So yeah, thanks a lot for this incredible webinars.